Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time I'm going to be taking a look at 5 vintage Sherlock Holmes radio shows. Now these are shows that went out in the 1940s and I think they're absolutely superb and I'm sure you're going to love them too. So without further ado, sit back, relax and let's get to it. When you mention the classic pairing of Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce as Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, most people will be reminded of the excellent series of 14 films released during the Second World War. These movies were often patriotic in nature and still fondly remembered today. Based very loosely on the original Conan Doyle books, the films were set in contemporary times, often to save a bit of money, and some even feature Holmes and Watson working to defeat the Nazis. However, it's the Mutual Broadcasting System radio series that has always been my favourite, and I've chosen 5 shows here that I'm sure you'll enjoy. These were made alongside the film series. Sadly, only 55 of the 217 episodes now exist, but these are easily accessible online, and I'll include a link to them in the description down below. These recordings are of varying quality, with most in the good to very good sort of sound range. The funny thing about listening to these old-time radio shows today is how intrusive the advertisements are. Initially, the show was sponsored in 1939-1940 by Grove's Bromine Quinine and later enjoyed an extended run as The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes under the sponsorship of Petri Wines. I love the way the stories are set though. Usually the guy reading the adverts, often either Harry Bartell or Knox Manning, will ask Dr. Watson to pull up a chair by the fire and recount a previous adventure he had had with the great Sherlock Holmes. You tend to forget that these often went out live. In one memorable episode, a glass is smashed accidentally on the set. Quick-thinking Nigel Bruce adds an unscripted line, "Careful Holmes, you've spilt your Petri wine." So my first episode choice is The Amateur Mendicant Society. Now this was first broadcast on the 2nd of April 1945, and this one is loosely based on The 5 Orange Pips. Dr. Watson is called to a mysterious club where half the guests are dressed as beggars and the other half in fine evening wear. There he discovers that the patient he was asked to take a look at has died of a broken neck after a fall down some stairs. The next day, realising it might be murder, a member of the society visits Sherlock Holmes to ask for his help. They explain that the society is a group of wealthy individuals who find pleasure leading the life of a seedy beggar. Now I shan't of course give away the ending, but it's a fascinating half an hour, a great opportunity for Basil Rathbone to try out a few different voices as well.
Madam, I do wish you'd tell me where you're taking me. This looks like the entrance to an opium den or a thieves' kitchen.
Don't worry, Doctor. You're in no danger. There. Does that look like a thieves' kitchen?
Great Scott, I don't believe my eyes. A luxuriously furnished room. What a strange collection of people. Some look like beggars, others in full evening dress. Amazing.
Number 7. Who is this man?
He's a doctor. I went to fetch him.
I thought I said there were to be no strangers inside.
Now look here, my good man. I've been extremely patient, but my temper's beginning to wear a little thin. Either let me see your patient at once or show me out. My time's valuable and I don't propose to waste it.
My second choice is In Flanders Field, which was first broadcast on the 14th of May 1945. Set at the beginning of the First World War, Holmes and Watson of course volunteered their services at the outbreak of hostilities and were engaged with various duties to help the Allied nations. A morale-boosting play is being staged before some troops head off to the front line. Holmes has been asked to attend the performance by a general who is a friend of Holmes's brother Mycroft. Suspecting that the lead actor is in fact a German sympathiser, Holmes takes to the stage to try to expose him. This is a fantastic episode for Basil Rathbone, and he gets to try some of his traditional theatre technique at the end of this episode. It was based on an incident from the original Conan Doyle story, The Adventure of the Blanched Soldier.
And Crispian shall ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, while any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day.
Now, because of the time that these were actually being produced during the war, every episode at some point has a little message from Watson, encouraging the audience to think about something a little bit different, like how they treat returning servicemen, or as in this case, where he's encouraging the public to buy war bonds. Very, very interesting.
A murdered scientist.
It sounds like a story we don't want to miss, Doctor. See you next week.
Yes, just a second, Mr. Nettering. Before we go, I just want to tell our listeners that tonight we're broadcasting from the stage of the Paramount Theatre here in Hollywood on behalf of the 7th War Loan Drive. The ticket of admission to the theatre was a war bond. I'm mentioning this to remind you, our friends, that you have an important part to play in making the 7th War Loan a success. Buy more and buy bigger bonds than ever before. They're needed to pay for new super forts, new jet-propelled fighters, newer and bigger weapons to lick Japan. Remember, in spite of the magnificent achievements of our forces in the Pacific, the Japanese war has just begun. So let's go all out for the mighty 7th War Loan.
My third episode is The 00, first broadcast on the 19th of November 1945. Set in Cannes in the south of France in 1900. Visiting a casino where roulette is the game of choice, Holmes and Watson watch a gambler who is having a bad run at the table. He leaves after losing his money, but is later found in the garden of the casino, apparently having shot himself in the heart, but with a wad of money in his coat. Holmes suspects that the money may be a ploy used by the casino so as not to give it a bad reputation, and an investigation ensues. Now, I really enjoyed this one. Even the French accents are pretty decent, and this one's loosely based on an incident from A Study in Scarlet.
Watson, I believe the blood of a gambler courses through your veins.
Oh, there's no harm in taking a little flutter once in a while. Why don't you risk a few francs, huh?
No, thanks you, my dear chap. The law of averages convinces me that my money is safer in my pocket. In any case, I'm a little dubious as to the integrity of this particular casino.
Well, what makes you say that?
Well, you will observe that this roulette wheel has a 00. Most continental wheels have only a single one. It would indicate that this house is extremely concerned with its percentage.
Mesdames et messieurs, faites vos jeux.
Oh, just 2 more turns of the wheel, Holmes, and I'll take that walk with you.
Oh, you müssen Sie hier spielen. Why do you not play from the other side of the table? Why must you always stand next to me?
Hello. The trouble up there?
I've placed my bet, so let's go and see.
I ask you, sir, why do you play here beside me?
I'm afraid I don't see any reason why I can't play wherever I...
Swish, you've broken my luck. Ever since you come to the table, I've done nothing but lose. Please, to move away.
My fourth choice is The Iron Box, which was first broadcast on December the 31st, 1945. So on New Year's Eve 1899, Holmes and Watson head off to Dunbar Castle in Edinburgh by train, the Flying Scotsman no less. Here, a simple case of inheritance requires the great detective to conjure up an ingenious plan to get to the bottom of the mystery and open up a mysterious sealed iron box. Now, apparently this was loosely based on the Conan Doyle story The Silver Blaze, although I can't quite see that myself. But this is a fantastic use of Holmes' powers, and you really don't get what's going on almost until the last sort of 5 minutes or so.
Oh, Sir Walter, there you are.
Watson, my dear boy. How are you? And this must be your friend Sherlock Holmes.
How do you do, Sir Walter?
Very well for a young nipper who'll be 21 at midnight. Gentlemen, may I introduce Mr. Herbert Small?
How do you do, sir? I believe that we have to congratulate you on the engagement of your daughter.
That was supposed to remain a secret until midnight. The Dunbar box was finally opened. Dinna be grouchy, Herbert. The children are in love, and I'm going to settle money on Ian. And it's New Year's Eve. Let's enter into the spirit of the occasion. Bring out the glasses, Ian. I've had some bottles of my special pride put out. It's the finest port in Scotland. The cream of Dunbar. Aye. My father laid the first bottle down the year before I was born. And a drink of the brew will surely warm the cockles of your heart.
Well, my mouth's watering already, Sir Walter.
When is this lawyer fellow, young Murdoch, getting here? Oh, any moment, Herbert. As soon as he arrives, we'll have dinner, and then we'll be ready for the evening ceremony.
He is bringing the famous iron box with him, Sir Walter?
If he doesn't, he won't get any dinner, Holmes.
My final choice is Murder in the Himalayas, first broadcast on the 14th of January 1946. Now, this one is interesting as it was released in 1989 on cassette tape. Then Harry Bartell, who was still alive at the time, features a new introduction by him and Mycroft Holmes instead of Dr. Watson. Now, this is the version that I listened to, and it's how I first discovered old-time radio and these early Sherlock Holmes stories, and that was back in the early 90s. Now, this particular story is an untold one, whilst the world believed that Holmes was dead. This is after his fall from the Reichenbach Falls, and the whole world believes Holmes is dead. Now, I thought this was really reminiscent of that early Hammer film, The Abominable Snowmen, with its great atmosphere and interesting characters. It's set in and around Tibet. There's an absolutely fantastic moment a few minutes in where Holmes is a bit disorientated and he's delirious. Really, really great.
Through the knifing wind and snow he battled on, without food and without, as he told me later, much hope. Even Holmes was helpless in that battle of man against the elements. What happened in that 36 hours he never really knew, except that the wind howled and the driving snow slashed at him without mercy. Finally, his mind began to wander, and he became delirious.
Watson, dear boy, hand me my violin, will you? Moriarty, I want to introduce to you the goddess of the mountain. I think you will have a lot in common. 221B Baker Street, cabby. For heaven's sake, get me there as fast as you can. I think I've caught a chill.
Though his mind was wandering, his great strength combined with instinctive urge for self-preservation must have kept him on his feet. But finally he returned to normal consciousness to find himself jogging along a rough road in a primitive cart drawn by 2 oxen.
And this story was inspired by events seen in The Empty House. The series is obviously a little dated. These are, after all, 80 years old now, but the stories on the whole will be new to you, and if you're a fan of Basil Rathbone or Nigel Bruce, you'll definitely be in for a treat. Now, thankfully, all the surviving episodes are in the public domain and can be listened to on numerous old-time radio sites. Now, there's a particularly good Holmes/Conan Doyle website with the entire series listed. All the surviving episodes are playable, but it also lists all the episodes around them as well. And I'll link to this really good website in the description down below. So there you go. If you'd like to see me cover a bit more old-time radio on the channel, just let me know. It's not just Sherlock Holmes I'm into. I do like lots of other radio series as well. So if you'd like to see a bit more, just give me a shout. Thanks very much for watching and or listening today, and I shall look forward to see you again very soon. Bye.